right, I am Spegtacular, the Silver Stacular. I'm here with Coin Guy at a shop in Spring Hill, Florida. Coin Guy, how's it going?
Going good. Crazy times.
It's a crazy world.
Busy times.
Absolutely. I kind of want to talk today about what's going on overseas, what effect it's having on our markets here, especially in the United States, because that's where I am, and what we can expect out of maybe prices, silver and gold, and other metals too, if you can give us some of that information.
Well, hello everybody. I seek to educate and entertain through my journey of collecting coins and stacking precious metals. I encourage you to subscribe and please stay with me on this journey. I am Spegtacular, the Silver Stacular.
My view of that, as far as what we should expect and what happens, are two different things. From my point of view, as I've said before, silver and gold markets are heavily affected. They're heavily manipulated. Once again, I really believe that the ETFs, the digital gold, the digital silver, should be separated from physical gold and silver. I've had colleagues say the same thing, people I've known, because it's too easy. It's too easy to play with the numbers. I remember 1980. I was there in the middle of the Hunt Boys when it was crazy times. I've seen people walk into Rubenstein's in Bayshore back then in 1980, and they'd have a baby food jar with dimes, and they'd get $1,000 for that. 35 to 1, 37 to 1. You get $1,000. Now you got to remember, in 1980 money, $1,000 is maybe $3,000 now, $3,500.
Yeah.
That was like $150 an ounce when it was 50 an ounce back then. It's like $150 now. That was a huge amount of money. And you had a family that had an assessed value of like $13 billion. They gambled $11 billion, and they lost like $6 or $7 billion of it. They tried to corner the silver market. There was only a few families of people in the world back in 1980 that had that kind of power and money. But nowadays, how many people have $1 billion? I think the list is about 3,000 long, which means it's probably 4,500. There's a lot of people who have 800 million is what they tell you, and they've got a lot more money than that. And then you've got the hedge fund people, the influencers, the people like Musk, and the people who control $100 billion. And they buy silver or gold, they buy it under one name or one company and sell it under another. And they can control and swing millions of ounces. I mean, you see what's going on in the Ukraine, and the price of gold goes up. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was awake, and I'm checking gold. It was up $62, and silver was up like 93 cents. 3 hours later, or by the time I got here at 9 in the morning, it was negative. I mean, it took a tremendous swing because I think people step in and they play with the markets.
Yeah.
Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, whoever they may be. They play with the markets. It's hard to really predict it. I mean, you see it any day now. You see what it was yesterday, and today it's down 40 cents or 30 cents.
Well, people that know what they're doing with stock market and trading and all that, I mean, they live off of these bad times in the world. This is big money for them. This is an opportunity.
I used to watch, I watch Maria in the mornings of Maria with Bartoloma, but I used to watch a different group of financial people, and you're asking a guy who makes his living on stocks what he thinks of gold. Oh, gold is just a metal. It's not a holder of wealth. Are you crazy? 5,000 years it's been a form of wealth. Look what happened with this. Do you want to hear, like somebody had said to me, terrible what's happening in Ukraine, but would you like to be running with the Polish border with a bunch of the money of Russia, rubles, or the Ukrainian money? Or would you rather have gold in your pocket?
Gold.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. Where's your Bitcoin now when they take out the internet? Or if they do something to disrupt the whole, if they put a virus in. If I got gold in my pocket or silver, I have something.
Yeah.
That's how I always looked at it. I mean, it's something a physical thing, and that's what the value of it, the physical gold and silver.
Right.
It's a story I used to tell. Like, I had bought a beautiful necklace at an estate sale and auction when I first moved down here, like 17 years ago, before I was in the business full time. And it was a beautiful bracelet. My daughter wore it for her wedding. and I got it at auction, and I paid under $2,000 for it. But by the time you get everything, I paid $2,000 for it. I took it to a jewelry store the next week. Guy offered me $4,500 for it. It was beautiful with sapphires, diamonds, 18-karat white gold. And the wife says, "We'll sell it." I said, "Sell it?" I said, I don't really need the money, but to me, this is going to get one of my grandchildren over the Canadian border one day. You never know.
You never know.
That's, it's like the old Jews of Europe when they had to leave. If you heard a story about jewels sewn into your clothes and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You need to be diversified. You have to have it in different ways. As far as going over the Canadian border, a different topic. That ain't going to happen anymore. After what I saw happen in Canada with the truckers, I'm disgusted with them. But
yeah, man, they made them out to be the evil people, huh?
The
government did.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows the truth for the most part.
I've never seen anything like that. I remember sitting at a table. I'm going to jump around a little, but I remember sitting at a table at a coin show, and at a coin club meeting, and I'm sitting there and we were talking politics. Big surprise. And we were talking politics, and it was about Trump at the time, and comparing Trump with Obama. And a woman staring at me. I said, "What is it? What?" She goes, "We can't talk like that in our country." I said, "What country are you from?" She goes, "I'm from Canada." They don't have a First Amendment, people. They don't have a Second Amendment, and they don't have a First Amendment. They don't have freedom of speech up there. Well, that took them off my list. I ain't going to run away to Canada. I hate to say it, but I mentioned what you see happening now 6 months and a year ago. I mean, when you have weak leaders, the wolves come out. You have a weak leader in France and in Canada, and you have person with problems in the White House, unfortunately.
And, that's why I'm here today, Guy, and I want to first say a few things. First of all, we're talking politically a little bit here today, and the reason why we're doing that is because the stuff that I talk about on my channel, precious metals, even, dollars, this stuff is all affected by what goes on in the world. So it's important to talk about it here once in a while. And I also wanted to give you credit, Guy, because what's it been? About a year since we talked about Ukraine versus Russia?
Yeah.
And you called it. I mean, other people weren't even talking about this thing. And then even, a month ago, people were like, "Oh, there's not going to be a war happening. It's not going to happen." And then, but you, I don't know, man, you got that knowledge, and that's why I'm here.
What it is just being a student of history. I didn't go to war college. I didn't do any of that. But I've read Sun Tzu. I've read The Art of War. And it tells you business is war. It tells you look for weaknesses in your enemy. I mean, this is what China's sitting back and watching. This is what Putin is looking at. What happened when you had Obama in the White House? You had the first invasion of Georgia, and then you had when they took when they took the Crimea in 2014. That was under the watch of another guy who put a red line in the ground and didn't do nothing to back it up. The Ukrainians were asking for help in 2014 then. We sent them blankets. Anything you see the Ukrainians fighting with now, those rockets taken out, those were given to them by Trump. You've got to meet force with force. I mean, I am surprised that they've held out this long. I mean, really. I mean, you have a guy who's a comedian who became a president, and and look how he's holding up. You've got Chechnyan assassins going after him, and let's not forget now. If you really look a little deep into this, and I'm sorry, Chechnyans are Muslims, and the president of the Ukraine is a Jew. He's Jewish. You've sent Muslim assassins to kill a Jew. This sounds like old stories.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line in that.
People discount Putin. They call him a madman, this and that. They say he's crazy. I've watched many videos on Putin, hear him speak. He's very well spoken, articulate, seems very intelligent. He's not crazy to the point where he's just a madman. He's got a plan. He's got something he's going to carry out. And, his army, the Russian army, it's a world power. Russia's no joking matter. They have plenty of nukes, he's already kind of mentioned a little bit. He kind of hinted that nukes may be part of the process.
This is a complicated thing also because we assured the Ukrainians that when they gave up their nuclear, and they had a bunch of nuclear weapons, they had, 40 of them, they had a lot of nuclear bombs. and you give them up, we'll look out for you. Well, what happened? What happened? They gave up their nukes, and now who's looking out for them?
Yeah.
We're sitting on the sidelines. I mean, I don't want to see, it's terrible. But the other thing scares me is that when you corner a rat, he's going to attack. And I mean, these people probably sat around and they've seen 80 years ago their grandparents fought the Nazis in those same mountains, in those same hills. They're going to ambush the hell out of these Russians. And these guys don't want to be there. Half of these people are related by marriage. Their mother-in-law lives in the Ukraine and they live in Russia, or vice versa. They have their hearts in it. A lot of them are militia. I don't know. I just, it's like I said, I don't want to talk about this, but it's going to it can affect the world. I don't want my grandchildren having to fight this.
It will guarantee affect the world. It's making history right now, and it's something that's going on that we got to talk about. I mean, it is what it is. A buddy of mine, he actually bought Russian stock a little while back, and because of these sanctions, he says that he got a message from his broker, and it says, due to the sanctions, you're no longer able to buy or sell this Russian stock.
Well, the ruble just went to less than a penny.
Less than a cent. That's crazy,
Less than a penny a ruble. I mean, I don't know. It goes back to, like I said before, I'll tell you this. If I'm a Ukrainian, I'd want to be holding gold. Nothing else.
Yeah.
If you're moving out or you're moving out of the Ukraine to Poland, you want a pocket full of diamonds. That's just what it's in your socks or whatever. Anything else is not going to get you anywhere. And as far as business here, I can't keep silver in the store. I have virtually no gold. Don't get any coming. There's nobody selling. I'm out of silver eagles. Everything I sold, I got rid of in the last today. Finished it up.
I just bought silver from you today.
Yeah, I mean it's just what it is. Any form of silver. I just sold a bunch of 90%. I got $3 worth of dimes left.
Let me ask you this question. So propaganda, propaganda goes on in every country, and we know for a fact that our country is working with the media to manipulate. It's on the White House that they worked with the media during COVID to try to get the word out, blah, blah, blah. With this propaganda stuff, who were we supposed to believe? Because, you got that side over there across the sea saying that this is the reason why we're doing things. You got this side saying that, he's crazy. I mean, what's the real truth?
I sometimes watch BBC. I sometimes watch the BBC, the British Broadcasting.
Yeah.
Because they'll talk about, they're really detached from what's going on over here. And in many cases, they're not so much, they're going to give you a more straight line in what's going on. And people may think, oh, you have to watch I watch the other channels. I don't only watch Fox News. I turn on the other channels. They're talking about Trump working with the Russians. They still didn't watch that 3-year investigation. I guess they missed that part. It's what I said before. I hope the people who voted for this president are happy. I hope you're happy.
It's interesting because you try to watch.
We were fueled independent. We had closed borders. It's just terrible. Terrible. And I think this November, there's going to be a reckoning. You've got to look at this and decide what the future of America. You got Marxist liberals who are they have their own agenda. Once again, they have their own agenda. And if you don't like my country, leave. Yeah. That's how I see that.
I had my wife talking. I don't know if I haven't seen this for myself yet. She was saying something about now Biden saying that he wants to close the borders. Is this something you've heard?
Oh, you mean like what was he talking about yesterday? He's funding the police now.
Oh,
How? What a novel idea.
Yeah.
Fund the police.
Because it's a bad idea not to have police.
I mean, you had 580 riots where you had, 30, 40 people dead total, hundreds of policemen injured. None of that was an insurrection. I watched them walking around in was it Seattle, the chop zone, with long guns, walking around with long guns. Took over the whole middle of a city, and that was okay. That wasn't an insurrection?
Yeah, it's crazy. The chop chaz.
It's all a matter of
people are forgetting about
an
that.
Agenda. It's a shame. It truly is a shame.
All the people taking the mask mandates away now, and
well, that my feelings are if you want to wear a mask, go ahead. If not, I mean, I'll put a mask on if I'm in a large crowd.
And that goes with freedom, right? The freedom of choice.
You have the freedom.
Not
You
the
have
freedom of, hey, you're going to do it because I'm Big Brother and I'm telling you you're going to do it.
Yeah.
That's not what anybody wants.
You know, I know people don't want to hear this. They're looking for coins here, as you said, but sometimes
Here they are.
it has to be talked about.
It moves the markets. We've seen, like you said, the market's been wavy. It's been going up and down. I seen one
There's
night
no rhyme or reason.
gold was up $60 one night, and then the next day started coming down.
Yeah, that's manipulation.
Yeah, and then
far as I
what
see
happens during this time is people go, "Oh my gosh, gold's up $60. It's in the news. I better go buy it right now."
Yeah, do I buy? Do I sell? I get a lot. Once again, I am not a bullion dealer. I don't have 300 ounces of gold on hand and 9 monster boxes. It's whatever comes in, what estates I buy. But I have a person just came in today and he bought a 3-cent nickel. A 3-cent nickel for $125. What is that? There are people who are bullion buyers who don't understand what that is. But I can make more money on a 3-cent nickel than you make on an ounce of gold.
Yeah,
That's what I do. That's my angle.
there's very little room
With
for
no,
that. Yeah.
with nowhere near the outline, and it's not affected by the whims of an egomaniac on the other side of the world. You know, but I have picked up some interesting silver, some interesting collectibles. I've got proof sets, 1950, 51, 52, 53 proof sets. This is only the second group of these I've ever had. The 50 and 51s are hard for me to come by. The box I had before were in original packaging, and they come in a blue box. These came like this. Because back in the 70s and 80s, you can tell from how old, look at the yellowing of the screws. This has probably been in this holder for 30 years or more.
Now, collectibles, they're not going to really move very much. I mean, there's some silver in here, but
These
it's not
are
going to
blue.
move as much with, like, you know, craziness going on in the world.
No, but they're still collectible. I mean, the mintages of this. If you need the 1950 Benjamin Franklin proof, you're going to pay the $500 or $600 just for the half.
Yeah.
If you need the penny, you're going to pay $50 just for the penny. It's like the old story about an old car. The parts are worth maybe 4 times what the new car is worth. But the same thing goes for proof sets. Hard sets to come by. The last 2 of these we had, we sold them in original boxes for twice the price of gray sheet.
It's crazy.
And that's because when you cut them out of their plastic, if you're going to send them in to be certified, if a 1950 Ben Franklin proof comes back as 67, or a cameo, it might be worth $2,000. So at that time they were $450. I sold them for $900. Right now they're around $550, and I want a little above that.
One thing I like about collectibles, and, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, is that collectibles will always be interesting. I mean, they might take a break here and there when, you know, okay, we got to start worrying about stacking now. You know, we got to start worrying about, you know, preserving our wealth. But collectibles, people love collecting things. I mean, it's human nature, I think.
And I like stuff that's old. I had a person in here earlier today, and he had a whole bunch of stuff. He came down from Kentucky, and I was one of his stops. And he had a bunch of old coins. Some of them were counterfeits. You know, they didn't weigh right. They didn't record on the machine. I spotted those pretty quickly, but 1 or 2 are the real deal. He had, his grandfather left him a roll of commemorative $50.
Wow.
I mean, he had the Grant with the star on it. He had the couple of the expensive $400 or $500 ones.
Jeez.
He had the Alamo. He had a whole bunch of them. Some were commons. I mean, you know, there was of course a Columbian Exposition. No, you're not sending these in to be certified, but you certainly ought to send about 8 of them were worth sending in.
Yeah.
I mean, they were worth a couple of $1,000. Once again, you got to decide if it's worth sending them in. If the coin's worth $500, yeah, you send it in. If the coin's worth $58 and it costs you $42 to get it certified, it ain't worth the difference.
Well, the Grant with stars is a pretty expensive coin.
That's expensive coin.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
probably $600.
I had to go without the stars when I got mine because I was like, I'm not messing around.
I had one years and years ago that was certified. I don't remember what I got for it. I bought it about 7 or 8 years ago. That's the only one I'd had before. I didn't get this. This guy was only here for, you know, exchange of knowledge. And I spent a half an hour looking through his stuff and telling him what he had. and what was worth keeping and what wasn't. I have, I don't always do that, but his stuff is really interesting. But I do take the time to talk to you about what you have. Just as I buy stuff,
I appreciate that as a
you
buyer.
sit and talk.
Yeah,
Well, you want to know what you have, and it's once again, as I said, it's a matter of giving knowledge.
Guy, I appreciate you talking to us about this because I wanted to give you credit since you basically called the war on Russia and Ukraine in a video. I mean, not basically, you absolutely did. You pretty much pinpointed it like you're some kind of, I don't know, you're like a scientist.
I just look at things. There's plenty of people like that who've seen this coming. Just as if you hear the talking heads now, and maybe I'm a talking head, but now you got to look at China and Taiwan.
And you mentioned that.
And my God, that's going to be scary.
And I think other people are looking at that now too. And they're neighbors, Russia and China. They got to be working together.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry. The Chinese really think 20, 30 years ahead. They look at all of us as Europeans. It's just the way it is. They're not Asians. So if you got Russians killing Ukrainians, killing Poles, killing Americans, let them all fight among themselves. It's like when you were a kid, you were playing a game of Risk. If these two people are killing each other and losing their armies, you're sitting in the catbird seat.
Waiting.
That's what you're waiting on.
Yep.
They could say that they're along with the Russian people, but I don't trust either one of them. And I would not want to be living in Taiwan right now, especially after this.
I'm sure they're on high alert mentally.
We've got to be sending them rockets, everything, but, you're talking about a David and Goliath there. And then you're talking about, the Japanese will come to the aid of the Taiwan. Really? If they do, then they leave their ports open to be torpedoed. Did you hear that? Torpedoed. Like World War II, the Chinese can torpedo the ports of Japan. Holy cow.
Yeah. You're talking a civilization of 1.4 something billion people in China. There's not a lot that can withstand that.
There's 125 million Japanese, 22, 23 million in Taiwan. There's a lot of them. But you got to make it too expensive to take it.
Yeah.
The bad thing, see, the Ukraine is big and vast and open with 41 million people. Japan is concentrated. Taiwan is concentrated. It has half the population, but it's 1/50th the size of, let's say, Ukraine.
It's like a New York or something.
Yeah, I mean, any bomb you drop is going to kill a lot of people. You don't have those huge, open, vast. You see the Russians when they're coming. I mean, they've been coming 17 miles. It's taken them like 4 days. Even walking. With a walker, they should have covered that ground. But they're breaking down. They're running out of gas.
It's a crazy time, Guy.
I don't think they want to be there.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy. But I appreciate you giving us that information. You got a little heat from it. People said, oh, you're crazy. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen. But It happened. You know what I mean? You know what you're talking about. You read some history and
God
you're
bless
wise.
America. It's about having an opinion.
Yeah.
It's a voice. That's all it is. As I said, I'm not a military expert. I'm just a person who read military history. And I look at these things, and to me, it's obvious what's going on. It's obvious.
Right on.
Just like November is going to be obvious.
Well, what do you think's going to happen, real quick, before we go to precious metals, in the near future?
I'm afraid that something drastic is going to happen in Ukraine and in Russia. And if there's peace, or if they come to the deal, precious metals will drop. Gold and silver are going to drop. Gold and silver are going to drop when the Fed gives an interest rate hike in 2 weeks. 0.25%, they probably baked that in already. 0.5% is going to cost gold and silver some money in the short term. Long term, own gold and silver.
Yeah.
Everything is. Look what inflation is affecting everything. You can't go to the store and you look over, a pack of hot dogs is $10. Are you
It's
kidding
getting
me?
crazy. Meat's been absolutely annoying.
I mean, my wife loves this potato bread. It's like $4.50 for 8 potatoes. It's like 50 cents a roll.
Nuts.
I can go to the bakery, get them fresh and hot, but probably cheaper than that.
We got a potato shortage.
I mean, well, it's just kind of crazy.
Unbelievable.
And when you talk about potatoes, you hear about all these people dumping all the vodka because it's Russian. It's not Russian. A lot of it is made in the United States. The Swiss make vodka. Finland makes vodka. You're not doing anything by throwing away all your vodka.
Yeah. I'm on a wait and see approach. I'm kind of waiting to see what happens, and I'm going to keep stacking silver and
Oh,
gold.
yeah,
I'm not going to change
absolutely.
my plans because of this right here. I'm just going to continue on as normal. Slow and steady. That's kind of my motto with this
That's
stuff.
what you do. You know, it's that
I'm
old
not going to
saying-
panic buy.
It's that old saying about you can't be too rich or too thin or have too much gold.
There you go.
That's how I see it.
God,
God bless America.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We'll see you again after this all pans out, and we'll see, hopefully.
Hopefully I'm wrong about Taiwan, but
Right?
they might not do it next week, but they might do it 3 months from now.
Oh, man. All right, guy. Appreciate you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.